So, as we all know, Liverpool are yet to make a signing this transfer window. One of only two clubs to be in this position alongside Fulham. However, it's looking more and more likely that Liverpool are going to actually try and make a move for a player that they've actually looked at a couple of times before, supposedly, under Klopp. His name, Take Kubo. Now, I remember Liverpool being in for this boy before, and I was genuinely, really excited about it. So, for those of you who don't know, Take Kubo is a right winger, Japanese nationality, plays for the Japanese national team currently at Real Sociedad. He's come from Real Madrid in the past, sort of tried his luck, had a semi-decent career with Sociedad now, obviously winning the Europa League. And he's just a solid right-wing option from what I can see. He's quick, slightly sort of smaller build, quite a tricky winger. Again, everything that you would look at and think, yeah, I'd like him to play for my football team. So with Kubo being a right winger, the obvious point of discussion here is he's going to be Salah's replacement, right? If they were going to go ahead and get this transfer over the line, that's obviously the position he's going to fill once Salah moves on, whether it's the Saudis, whether he just retires, whatever. So if that was to be the case, this is I don't know if concern's the right word, but just where the club will be different. Obviously, there is no other Mo Salah in the world. You can't replicate his output in terms of goals and assists. You simply can't. When it comes to Kubo, I fear whether there might be a potential issue with end product. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's obviously 35 appearances for the Japanese national team. I believe he scored 4 goals, which, again, international games are a little bit difficult to gauge somebody's career on, right? But you look at the most recent Sociedad season, and I believe he got, let's just quickly check it here. So in 30 games, he has got himself 7 goals and 4 assists, which, don't get me wrong, is definitely not terrible. 100% not. Obviously, top 5 leagues, doing it in the Champions League as well. There's things to like there. My fear is that, again, without that guaranteed end product, moving to a more competitive league in the Premier League, it doesn't always transition as well, does it? We've seen that before, funnily enough, with his fellow countrymen, like Taki Minamino, who, don't get me wrong, I think was a little cult hero for us, but it never quite worked out, did it? And my fear would be that you could potentially see that happening again. However, I appreciate that they obviously are different players in how they play. However, there are obviously positives to Kubo, don't get me wrong. I mean, you look at the actual potential signing itself. I mean, 23 years old, already got bags of experience, but bags of potential to grow as well. He has won a few La Liga Player of the Months. If nothing else, I remember the cards on FIFA. But he's definitely got a decent reputation there. And another thing which is obviously, and again, this is where it echoes the likes of replacing Salah, he's a player that likes to play on that right wing and cut in on his left foot. So in terms of the actual dimensions that Liverpool play, in terms of how their wingers come in and cut in and go as they do, he should fit in and fill that void nice and simply. Now, my fear with it is the potential price tag. Now, and again, it's not necessarily just a fear in terms of it's too expensive. They're reportedly looking at around 50 million to 55 million euros. Now, knowing how stingy Liverpool are, they're not going to want to pay that. They're going to want to eke every single little coin possible and lower it, and they'll do a Lavia thing, right, where they just chip it up and up and up and up. And I can't think that there's an abundance of wingers out there in world football that are world class. There isn't. I'm not saying that Kubo is, but Kubo, I think you can argue, has the potential to be, given his age and obviously what he's done so far in his career. Now, I would hate it to see this deal get hijacked. Which, again, and there's not even any guarantees that this is going to happen. This is just one in the rumour mill. But just knowing how Liverpool are, and there has been interest from other clubs. There's been talks that United are also very interested in this guy. And as we've seen this transfer window, they're not messing about. They want a sign and they make it. I just fear that doing a slower sort of strategy could potentially put the boy off. However, if Liverpool are to complete this deal, one of my main sort of again concerned is that it is actually a deal that Schlott wants to make. As I've said, we've been linked to this guy, it feels like for the last 18 months or so. I feel like ever since he sort of moved away from Real Madrid and had a half-decent start at Sociedad, there's been rumours there. You know for a fact that sometimes the club do just make signings, and you want to make sure that they obviously fit into Schlott's system, because you've brought a new manager and you've got to back him, you've got to give him players that he wants. I appreciate that there's been signings in the past just by the club, like the likes of that man up there, and they've worked absolute wonders, and there's no reason why this one couldn't necessarily work as well. But I would hate to see Liverpool spend this quite considerable amount of money, because we obviously know their budget isn't brilliant, and then not have the facilities to bring in the players that Schlopp might necessarily want to bring in himself. However, again, looking forward, you've got to find a replacement for Salah, right, somewhere. He's only going to get older, he's only going to drop off more, because we saw that drop off towards the end of the season. I don't think that Kubo would be a bad shout. I mean, again, and this is probably partly because they get a bit of sell-on clause, but he's been touted very heavily by Zidane as being like the next big thing. Like, he has been very good. It is not just hype, or maybe it is just hype and affluence and all that stuff, but there is a little player in there. Fingers crossed it all translate to a Premier League side. But yeah, I do think it'd be really interesting to see where this one goes. Again, Liverpool love their versatile forwards. He definitely fits the bill with that. He has played at a number 9 and he has played on the left wing as well. Not that we need any more left wingers, but if Liverpool were to go for him, I would honestly be quite happy with that. I think we're just dying for anybody to potentially get signed at this stage, right? Maybe agent Wataru Endo or maybe Minamino's got in his ear, and fingers crossed if he wants to move to Liverpool, I'm not going to complain about it. But yeah, what do you guys think? Would you like to see Take Kubo in red? Do you think that he can sort of live up to the mantle of Salah? Should he go and sort of be that replacement? I think that's going to be a very hard task, but either way, I think if you're looking to evolve and change this Liverpool side, unfortunately, Salah has got to go eventually, right? So I don't think it's necessarily a bad option. Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you are enjoying all this stuff, please do subscribe. I do greatly appreciate it, and hopefully see you in another one very soon.